So, welcome back. So, over the past month, we've been talking about how so many women in midlife feel stuck and why that is. We've explored the restlessness, the uncertainty, and that quiet feeling that something's missing, even when from the outside, everything looks really good. But today, we're turning a corner because I want you to know something important. And if you've subscribed to my channel, you've heard me say this before. Feeling stuck isn't a problem, it's merely a signal. It's a signal that you've drifted away from your true north. Now, I want you to think about a ship that is crossing the ocean. It doesn't have to veer dramatically off course for that ship to end up in the wrong destination. Even drifting by just 1 degree over time can take it hundreds of miles away from where it was intended to go. The same things happen in our lives. We don't wake up one morning and suddenly feel disconnected from ourselves. It happens gradually, one responsibility at a time, one compromise at a time, one yes when what you really wanted to say was no, one decision based on somebody else's expectations instead of your own. Until one day we look around and we wonder, how the heck did I get here? The good news is that if you can drift away from yourself, you can also find your way back. That's what this month is going to be all about. We're going to rediscover your inner compass so that you can make decisions with confidence. You can create a life that feels authentic and move toward a future that's aligned with who you truly are now. Every compass has a starting point, and it begins with what matters most. Hi, I'm Denise Walsh, founder of True North Success Coaching. And today we're talking about your core values, which is the foundation of your true north. Let's begin. So, have you ever noticed in talking with your girlfriends that nobody intentionally loses themselves? It doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually. And as women, we spend decades becoming who everybody else needs us to be. We become the dependable employee, the supportive partner, the devoted mother, the daughter everyone counts on. And each one of those roles is meaningful. They shape us, and they can often bring us tremendous joy. Somewhere along the way, many of us stop asking this important question: what would I love? Or this question: what matters to me? Instead, we ask questions like, what does everyone else need? What's expected of me? How can I keep everyone happy? Which is impossible, by the way. Eventually, those questions become our default way of living. Then life changes. Kids fly off out of the nest. Maybe you've reached a point in your career where you think, is this really all there is? I know that was what happened to me. Maybe you've experienced divorce, become a caregiver for aging parents, or started thinking about what your legacy is going to be. Do you want to retire or do you not want to retire right away? Research shows that these major life transitions often prompt people to reevaluate their identity and their sense of purpose. For many women, midlife becomes a season of reflection, not a crisis. Those transitions don't create the questions, they reveal the questions that have been quietly waiting underneath. Questions like, who am I now? What do I want? What do I want the next chapter of my life to look like? So if you've been asking these questions, I want you to know you're not lost. You're simply ready to reconnect with yourself. That's where your values come in. So people often use the words goals and values interchangeably, but they're actually very different. Goals are destinations. Values are the way we choose to travel. A goal might be to retire early, but why? Maybe it's because you value freedom, or family, or adventure. Two people can have the exact same goal for completely different reasons. That's why goals alone don't create fulfillment. So, core values are the deeply held beliefs that guide your decisions. They shape your priorities and they influence how you experience life. Values are your internal compass. So imagine now you're hiking through the woods. Now, you could have the best map in the world, but if your compass is broken, it's easy to drift off course. Same thing happens in life. When you don't know your values, you begin making decisions based on pressure, expectations, fear, or simply habit instead of what truly matters to you. There was last week we talked about living life by default versus design. And this is what happens when we don't have a clear definition of what our core values are. Now, examples of core values include freedom, growth, connection, learning, integrity, peace, adventure, creativity, contribution, health. So there's no right or wrong list. The good news is that your values are uniquely you. And they may even shift over different seasons throughout our lives. What you valued in your 20s may not be what you value now in your 50s and 60s. The goal isn't to choose the value that sounds impressive. The goal is to identify the ones that genuinely guide your heart. So, one of the many things I hear from women I coach is this: I'm exhausted. Or Why do I feel guilty all the time for doing what I want? I can't say no. Is that something that you find yourself saying a lot? I just don't know how to say no. Or I don't even recognize myself anymore. Most people think these feelings mean that they're doing something wrong or that they're not grateful for what they have. But often they're simply symptoms that you're living your life out of alignment of who you now have become in midlife. So think about your calendar. If someone looked at how you spend your time, your energy, and your money, would they be able to identify what matters most to you? Think about that. Or would they only see your obligations? When our daily choices don't reflect our values, life feels heavier than it needs to be. Stress increases because we're constantly pushing ourselves against ourselves, constantly pushing against ourselves. And that's what it feels like. Confidence decreases because we stop trusting our own decisions. And resentment grows because we keep saying yes when our heart is saying no. Living according to your values doesn't eliminate challenges. It simply gives you clarity about which challenges are worth taking on. So let's begin uncovering your own true north. So I encourage you to pause this video and grab a notebook. And we're going to start with 4 questions. Are you back? Excellent. So question number 1, write this down. When have you felt the most alive? Think about moments, not accomplishments. Maybe you were hiking. Maybe you were teaching, traveling, laughing with friends. Were you creating something? What was happening? You can pause the video again and write down your answer to that question. Don't think too much into it. What's the first couple things that come to mind? Question 2. What moments have made you feel deeply proud? Not because someone else was applauding you, although that's nice, but because you knew you were living authentically. Write down a moment or 2 that come to mind when you feel that you're most proud of yourself. Question 3. What makes you angry or frustrated? Now, this one surprises people, but often the things that upset us reveal values that aren't being honored. If somebody who's being dishonest really makes your blood boil, or that means that maybe integrity is one of your core values. If wasted potential frustrates you, then maybe growth is one of your core values. Write those down. And question number 4. What do you wish you had more of in your life right now? Maybe it's more peace, more adventure, more connection, more creativity. Now, as you answer these questions, you'll start noticing themes. Circle words or ideas that come back more than once or twice. Then you can narrow your list to your top 10 values. Finally, challenge yourself to choose your top 5. Now, I have a values course that I will put a link in with this video. And what this will do is it really helps you dive into sorting your top 10 core values and then ranking them, so you can really have a tool to help you get to what those top 5 values are. And there's some other really deeper questions that I ask in that values course as well. So I'll share that at the end of this video. So just like a compass points north to keep a traveler on course, your top 5 values become the reference points for every major decision you make. When a new opportunity comes along, you can ask, does this move me toward my true north? Does it align with my core values? That simple question can really change everything. And it can actually help decision making feel easier because they're now aligned with who you truly are. So I'd love to share what this looked like for me. For many years, I measured success the way many of us do. I worked hard. I built a successful career in corporate. I was a volunteer on different boards. I coached youth basketball. I raised a family, checked the boxes, doing everything I thought I was supposed to do. And from the outside, everything looked great. My life looked successful. But again, in my early 50s, something inside me felt like it was missing. All of those things and all of those parts of my life that were important to me in my 30s and 40s suddenly felt like it wasn't enough. I realized I had become incredibly good at meeting everybody else's expectations. Can you relate to that? It had been a while since I stopped to ask myself whether my life reflected what truly mattered to me and who I really was becoming in my 50s. And when I went through this values exercise, several themes kept showing up. Authenticity, honesty, fun came up, growth. I realized I am a forever student. I love learning and growing. Connection is important to me. Helping others. And after that exercise, so many of my past decisions made total sense. I realized why certain parts of my life felt so draining. And it was because they weren't aligning with who I was now, who I was in my 50s. That realization eventually led me to a different kind of coaching. Not because, well, it was because I wanted another job, but I didn't want just another job. I was looking for meaning in my work. I was looking for purpose. And I realized I had been looking for that purpose my whole life, my whole career. I kept falling into situations that I thought I was expected to do, and not what truly mattered to me, because I never stopped to think about what that was. So today I still use these values whenever I make an important decision. They have become my compass, and they've helped me create a life that feels far more aligned and meaningful. So here's what I hope you take away from today. Life doesn't change just because you finally discovered the perfect plan. It changes when your daily decisions begin reflecting what matters to you. Your values become your true north, that guiding star. When you know them, decisions become easier. Boundaries become easier. Goals become more meaningful. And perhaps more importantly, you begin living a life that feels like your own again. So if you're ready to discover your true north, I'd love to help. Again, I've created a values workbook that I use when I work with my own coaching clients to guide you through identifying your core values. I'm going to provide a link below, and then you can download that. I'm offering this free to my YouTube watchers, my YouTube subscribers. And if this topic, if what we've been talking about resonates with you, then be sure to subscribe to this channel, because next week we're diving into something that keeps so many women stuck. How to stop living by everyone else's expectations and start living your own truth. Until next time, remember, your true north has always been with you. My hope is that each week you'll take one more step toward rediscovering it. Take care.